Hi, so in today's episode of Shenanigans, I've decided to pick up a new craft because I totally have the time and energy for that. And today's new craft is making my own lipstick. So I'm going to try and make a lipstick base first, just dedicate this video to that. Yeah, and then maybe we'll look into adding colorants and stuff later. We'll see. So the recipe I'm using is based off of the Humble Bee and Me one, but I've made so many substitutions, it's basically no longer the same recipe. I have added, I've adjusted the proportions to make sure that there's a large amount of like butters and waxes, so that, because I live in a hot climate, so I'm hoping that that will help the lipstick remain in solid form in room temperature.
Hey, editing me here. I'm doing a terrible job of explaining my reasoning for adjusting the recipe, so I'll try to do a better job right now. So, a lipstick, an abstract generalization of what a lipstick is it's a crayon that's safe to rub on your skin. So essentially, it's a stick made of waxes and oils, and the melting point has a fairly narrow window because it needs to be very much a firm solid at room temperature, and it needs to also be like thick or semi-solid, not fully melted at body temperature, and it needs to be able to melt just enough to deposit a thin layer with body temperature plus friction, which is like when you put it on, and it needs to stay on and not melt right off of your face. All of the recipes that I saw online were like, oh, put equal amounts of I think beeswax, shea butter, and coconut oil, which it's not going to work in this climate. Coconut oil is a very liquidy, thin, like slippy oil in this climate. It's nowhere near like the white, creamy solid that I'm seeing other people use. And shea butter is also like basically a very soft paste. And the Humble Bee and Me recipe had a very long ingredient list that I did not own at home and I did not want to purchase. So I did some substitutions here and there. So in my recipe, I put equal amounts of cocoa butter and soy wax and less castor oil. So I used the same liquid oil that Humble Bee and Me used, which is castor oil, which is like a fairly thick, sticky, viscous oil at room temperature. And cocoa butter is better than shea butter, as in it has a higher melting point. It at least is a solid at room temperature. And soy wax, because I had it in my fridge and didn't want to buy beeswax. So, yeah, that is like the main base of my recipe. I hope that was like a better explanation.
Um, you know what? We'll see. We'll see. If it all fails, then you won't see this video. Let's go.
Alright, on to the ingredients. My weighing machine was not sensitive enough for this, so I eyeballed some of it. First of all is 2 grams of Sericite Mica, which apparently is something that helps with adhesion to the skin. And then I used cornstarch for like the slippy feel and mattifying properties, 2 grams of that as well. Followed by 10 grams of cocoa butter, 6 grams of castor oil, and 10 grams of soy wax. So overall that comes up to about 30 grams, which I proceeded to melt down in a water bath and then stir it all together. Once it got like a little bit cooler, I added a few drops of vitamin E oil, and that is essentially the base. So the main test of this recipe is whether it is able to mold and unmold in a lipstick mold. Take a shot every time I say mold. And here is the test. I apologize for the atrocious camera angle. I was doing this one-handed. I really should have like set up a better angle. But you know, you can see that I was in fact able to unmold this and put it into a lipstick tube without breaking the lipstick. So clearly this recipe is a viable one for my local climate and temperature and stuff. Speaking from experience as like having already made and tried on one of the pigmented lipsticks using this base, I found that it's actually still kind of soft. I mean, it's very creamy, very comfortable to wear, and holds its shape perfectly in the tube, but there is room to go a bit firmer, perhaps increase the amount of soy wax or something. It wouldn't affect the performance of the lipstick, I feel like. So maybe on the next batch I might do that. And this marks the end of Adventures in Lipstick Making Part 1. Join me on the next video to see a pigmented lipstick. How about that? Bye!